I have good news and I have bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Good news is we will be hopping into a 2023 fantasy football draft. Bad news is, just in case I personally can't give you a big enough headache by yelling nonsense into the microphone for the next hour and a half, we brought the lights back, okay? So if I can't give you the headache, the lights definitely can. Let's get into Best Ball Mania. I told y'all we were going to do more Best Ball Mania drafts here. Just trying to save them. I think we've already done like 50 or so Best Ball Mania drafts this offseason. I mean, you are limited at 150, of course, just in case you don't know what Best Ball Mania is. If you're living under a rock for the past 5 years, I don't freaking know. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. We got 16th place Best Ball Mania last year. We won $10,000 with that team. But first place, $3 million. Second place, $1 million. Third place, fourth place, blah, blah, blah. They have a ton of regular season prizes as well. This is the largest tournament there is on Underdog Fantasy. And you better believe I'm not getting 16th place this year. You better believe I am winning this bad boy. So let's go ahead. Let's hop in here. Let's see where we're picking. We're at 11. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see what we get. Obviously, there's some news regarding the players that we'd be looking at the 1-2 turn. Don't want to talk about that too much until we actually make our selections. But let's go. And we have Hayes ID out here. Happy to see you, my friend. We got Sammy Bullock. Really happy to see you. Jay Fresh, Brody, Golf for Life. We got Billy Moss. We have a ton of long-time member of the flock out here. Oh, thank you so much. Let's go ahead. Dylan 102 in this draft. Let me know if you are in this draft with us and where you are picking. We have Jefferson off the board 1, Chase going off the board at 2, Tyreek at 3. You know what? This may be my first day in a long time that I did not get into a draft earlier this morning off the live stream. I think this may be my first draft of the day. Okay, so, we may have to knock the rust off. Y'all know usually I'm drafting these teams nonstop, but today was especially busy, so I was not able to get into a couple drafts off the live stream. So we'll see if we can still make it work. Jimmy in here at 4. Sug Maboard at 7. Sam in here at 9. Happy to get to go against y'all. Thank you so much for joining this draft with me. Talon says, is that good or bad? We'll figure it out together, my friend. We will figure it out together. You have Austin Eckler off the board here at 6. Going a little bit earlier than you're used to. Usually Austin Eckler would be a running back that we could get at pick 11 or pick 14. So interesting to see him go here. I mean, you never see Eckler go ahead of Bijan Robinson either. I definitely drafted Austin Eckler in more drafts than I've taken Bijan Robinson. But, I mean, weird to see Eckler go before him. A little unique here. Diggs off the board at 8. Let's swing this back around. Okay, Travis Kelce goes 9. If Kelce would have fallen to 11, it probably would have been my first draft I've taken Travis Kelce in here. Okay, A.J. Brown going off the board at 10. We're going to go ahead. We will take CeeDee Lamb. Okay, what are we doing on the turn? I don't want to queue up exactly what my plan is because I don't know if PTAL Pounds, I don't freaking know what their name is, but I don't know if they're watching this live stream or not. So I'm not going to queue up the guys that I'd be looking at. Adams goes 12. Did they auto draft Adams? There's definitely a chance they auto drafted him. Daniel in here at pick 8 as Ghost Dragon. Happy to see you here, my friend. Happy to see you. Okay, Amon-Ra St. Brown goes. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Taylor. How I was going to queue that up is I was going to have Devontae Adams as our next option. Then after that, we are going to go Jonathan Taylor or Saquon Barkley. I am taking Saquon Barkley over St. Brown as well as Garrett Wilson. But we will get Jonathan Taylor here at pick 14. As it stands with the ADP today, not a super unique start, but a start I feel comfortable with. I mean, as long as we have CeeDee Lamb here, I think if we really, really wanted to, we could go running back and pick 35 and 38. But real quick, just in case you are one of those people living under the rock and you are not drafting on Underdog, Fix your freaking life. We are drafting here every single day. Drafted over 700 teams on Underdog last year since it's best ball and there's no time commitment during the season. I won $150,000 on Underdog. And when you sign up with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And with promo code FLOCK, you are also going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Quick side note, meant to mention this. If you are a member of flockfantasy.com and Underdog Fantasy as well, make sure you go to the Discord, fill out the Google form so I can get you your free Flock/Underdog merch. And on top of that, if you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com and you are on the Underdog, go to your account page on flockfantasy.com, put your Underdog username there, and you'll just get a free $10 added to your Underdog account. Won't have to do anything. So please, please, please make sure you are taking advantage of that. And Mark says, wish I could. Unfortunately, Michigan is one of the 4 states you can't in. Yes, I'm sorry. The gray states you cannot be in Underdog. They're like a little more than 4. It looks like there's 7 or 8, if my math is correct. About 90% of states you can be in an Underdog draft. I'm sorry you can't in Michigan, my friend. But now we have Mahomes going off the board, pick 24. Going to be interested to see where we have Josh Allen as well as Jalen Hurts go. I'm assuming Jimmy's is going to be looking at Josh Allen on the way back around at Jalen Hurts on the way back around at pick 28. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Now, real quick, Cameron coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says 10-team Superflex, second best team in the league. Have to make a move. Would you send Flowers, Ayuk, and a future first for Jonathan Taylor? No reason to do that right now, my friend. I understand that, yes, I mean, if you're sitting there and you are, say, the second best team in your dynasty league, you're like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and let's make a move. That way we can 100% contend. In reality, you can make that trade during this season. That's not something that you have to go through and you have to pull the trigger on right this second. I think that if we're trading for contending assets, it has to be at a no-brainer type value. I don't necessarily know if that is. I'd rather keep our 2025 first and keep our flexibility. Now, Jamie coming out. Thank you, my friend. Says, I love the videos, bro. Been watching since last year. How would your strategy change if it were a 2 wide receiver league instead of 3 like ESPN? So you just really have to make sure that you are going through and you're making an adjustment based off the ADP in your league and how you expect your overall draft room to be taking these guys. I actually dive in deep with this in a video that comes out 2 days from now. I literally just recorded it. But if you are going to be in that shallow redraft format where you're only starting 2 wide receivers and a flex, then of course you are going to be moving these wide receivers down. You're going to be moving the running backs up. And also, if you can only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, what that's actually really going to make me want to do is go get an elite level tight end, because the tight end position is going to make up a higher percentage of your starting lineup output than it would if you had to start 3 wide receivers. So that's going to honestly be like a sneaky little move that I make. We talk a lot about that in the Dynasty Research book we put out on flockfantasy.com. Okay. Now, Andrews goes 31. Debo off the board as well. Let's swing this back around. Obviously, it would have been really nice if we could have had Andrews, Lamar at the 3-4 turn, but we would have been very lucky if that would have happened. Okay. I want to be on record. I do think that both Travis Etienne as well as Najee Harris are better picks than Amari Cooper. But with that being said, we are pretty much guaranteed to get one of these running backs on the way back around. F it. F it, F it, F it. Let them take Amari. We'll figure it out. With the possibility of Hopkins going over to Cleveland, let's, in my mind, quote unquote, play it safe. Let's get the running back that I think has a ton of talent. We'll let him grab Amari. And once he does that, let's sit here and really think. Okay. I'm not, as you can tell, this is truly the first day that I did not do an Underdog draft before this live stream. And I feel like, and I know my brain's so broken at this point, it's not even funny. But I feel like I've not been in one of these in years. I've done one of these every single day since the draft contest opened. We've not only been doing them every single day off the live stream, but also on the live stream as well. I don't know. We'll go ahead. We'll take Hopkins, pick 38. Let me know what you think we should have done there. My thing is, I wasn't wanting to sit there and go, okay, well, we are going to go ahead. We are going to take Amari Cooper with the expectation that we get Najee or Travis Etienne on the way back around, which I would have been completely fine with, by the way. What I was worried about is them going with both Etienne as well as Najee Harris at the 3-4 turn. And then us being in a spot where it's like, okay, are we really that excited to take Jahmyr Gibbs? And y'all know one thing is when you're in this many drafts, you can see where drafts are trending. You can see where the ADP is lining up. While Gibbs does have an ADP, and while he was going at the end of the third, the beginning of the fourth, in pretty much the drafts over the past 2 or so weeks, if you actually look at what you have with Jahmyr Gibbs as of late, Gibbs is more so going in the middle of the fourth to the end of the fourth round now. Like I promise you, you'll see it more and more often. Gibbs is sliding. He's a mid-fourth round. He's a late fourth round selection now. I've even gotten Jahmyr Gibbs, I believe, 2 days ago in a draft. I don't know if it was on or off the live stream. They blend together, but I even got Jahmyr Gibbs in the 5th. So based on how that's trending, I don't know if we're going to go through and take Gibbs over Hopkins. Hopkins is trending in the opposite direction. Hopkins is rising in these drafts. I don't know. Clearly you can tell I'm conflicted. I'm kind of going back and forth and trying to explain this to myself and trying to come up with any reason why we didn't make a mistake here. But we'll see. We'll see. Okay. We had some people wanting us to take Gibbs. Billy Moss always has our back, says we did it perfectly. Oh, thank you, my friend. AJS says, liking the Hopkins pick. JCM says, Fields. I thought about that as well. But very similar to Jahmyr Gibbs, when you are in enough of these drafts, you see how they are trending. And Justin Fields, I'm seeing more and more as a pick that goes at the 4-5 turn rather than where he used to go at the 3-4 turn. I'm seeing more and more Justin Fields, DJ Moore slide, and I actually was able to stack Justin Fields as well as DJ Moore back at the 4 or 5 turn, I believe 3 or 4 days ago. So now you see Justin Fields fall here to pick 47. I'm going to be interested to see if this team decides to take Joe Burrow on the way back around, because this is the Jamar Chase team where generally if they have the ability to go through and to take Burrow, they do. So we'll see. We'll see. Andrew says we should have gone Trey Lance. You are right, my friend. You are right. Fuse says, any free bets on Underdog Pick'em? I did not see any, my friend. Trust me, if there's a free Pick'em bet on Underdog, I let y'all know about it. I mean, I definitely want to make sure y'all are taking advantage of every single time they have one. So yeah, that's why I show it off literally every single time, at least that I know of. Let me pull up Underdog's Twitter real quick to make sure we're not missing out on one. Okay, because usually that's how I see it. They promote it on their Twitter. Nope. I believe there's no free pick'em. I would imagine, and of course, I have not been told anything, that Underdog does like another free pick'em bet for the finals, for the NBA finals, that is. But of course, I could be wrong. Now, you have both Firestarter as well as Jimmy's going with the zero running back approach. Very, very similar builds here. They both go wide receiver rounds 1 and 2. They both grab the elite level quarterback round 3. They both go wide receiver round 4. And then they grab a tight end to build around in round 5. Really like both these teams. I would say that if I'm going to be looking at my favorite between the two, Jimmy's is going to be my favorite here, where they were able to go through and they were able to get the pairing of Devonta Smith as well as Jalen Hurts. Really like that team that you have from pick 4. Okay. Now let's swing this back around. Joe Mixon goes off to Mason 23. He has 3 running backs at this point. So what's interesting is he had Eckler as well as Keenan Allen, and he decided to pass on Justin Herbert to let the Mike Williams team get him. I feel like if you bet on both Eckler as well as Keenan, I'm probably taking Herbert on the way back around in round 5 if you get the ability. Okay, so Mav has Lamar, Barkley, A.J. Brown, and Jerry Jeudy. Let's see where they decide to go. They go Dobbins. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Michael Pittman. Super easy pick here. Not having to think about it at all. And yeah, Tanner says Mixon keeps climbing draft boards. King says Mixon goes ahead of ADP in every draft. I do, I swear. Yeah, if you did not know, I mean, Mixon at the end of last month when these drafts first opened had an ADP in round 7. So yeah, Mixon is just consistently climbing. And you kind of knew it was going to happen as well, because once these drafts launched, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get one of my favorite values in all of drafts right now. We're going to take Dameon Pierce. But once these drafts launched, I had a million people reaching out to me going, oh, Mason, hey, what do you think about Joe Mixon this year? Why is Joe Mixon going so late? Literally every other message that we got on the live stream was, oh, why is Joe Mixon going so late? Why is Joe Mixon going so late? And real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 350 likes in the stream, we will fire up another draft after this one. Looks like we have almost 500 people watching this, so we should easily hit 350 likes. And actually, we are 3 likes away from 200. So if you want to be our 200th like in the live stream, go down there, hit that button. Okay. Now, Tyler Lockett off the board here, 165. Andrew says, decent team so far, need Trey Lance at 83. If Lance doesn't make it back to us at 83, our team's ruined, my friend. It is ruined. Okay. Tony goes pick 66. Y'all know what I think of the Kadarius Toney selection. In my mind, to take Kadarius Toney over Mike Evans is, I don't want to say it. I do not want to say it. Now, Mike Evans goes after Kadarius Toney here, which is interesting. JM says, is JT over Nick Chubb an easy decision? For me, it is. I think with Jonathan Taylor, you just have the younger asset, right? One of the small concerns that you have with Nick Chubb is a running back going into his age 28 season, where Jonathan Taylor is still stepping into his prime. So I'm not too worried about Taylor. Taylor, one of my most drafted running backs. I like drafting Taylor, Barkley a lot at the beginning of round 2, just because I would rather have both backs over Amon-Ra St. Brown as well as Garrett Wilson. So just naturally, I get a lot of Jonathan Taylor, get a lot of Saquon Barkley. Now we have a massive run on wide receiver with Lockett, Toney, Pickens, Evans, Hollywood, Addison, and now Burks off the board. So on the way back around, shouldn't be too many options that we have at the wide receiver position. Honestly, I wouldn't be too surprised if we end up kind of sticking with the trend that we've had, going running back, receiver, or vice versa. I mean, it looks like we pretty much just got taken them back and forth throughout the entire draft so far. So running back, we have Taylor, Etienne, Dameon Pierce. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Hopkins, and Michael Pittman. So if you're looking at our stacking options later on, we're definitely going to be looking at Anthony Richardson to pair up with a combination of both Jonathan Taylor as well as Michael Pittman. We'll be looking at Dak Prescott to pair up with CeeDee Lamb. So a couple different options that we have. Okay, Deontay Johnson off the board, pick 77. Jesus says, enjoying the new background. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, we will. I promise you, one of these days I will have the time to go through and officially set up the new studio and the new background and everything. I feel like we've slowly gotten it going, but obviously a lot needs to change. It's probably better than the wood that we had, right? We have Darren Waller going off the board here, pick 80. I wonder if Gabe Davis is falling with the thought process that maybe DeAndre Hopkins is going over to Buffalo. I mean, right now, Buffalo is the favorite landing spot for DeAndre Hopkins at plus 300. And it's a real concern. I mean, if Hopkins goes to Buffalo, you have to dramatically lower your expectations with Davis. Knowing Flowers goes off the board, we will go ahead. We will take Gabe Davis here, knowing that, I mean, he's plus 300. It's not guaranteed that Hopkins is going over there. And at the same time, once you see Flowers go 82, it does thin out the wide receivers that would be available at the beginning of round 8. So I'm very comfortable with the running backs that we're going to be able to take here, whereas I'm unsure about the wide receivers. So we'll go Gabe Davis, pick 83. Alexander Madison goes. So spam the chat. Who would you rather have? I understand a lot of people are going to spam Anthony Richardson. I get it. Trust me. But I've seen Anthony Richardson fall considerably past ADP over the past week or so. I legitimately think we have a really good shot to get either Anthony Richardson or Dak Prescott on the way back around in round 9. Okay, so it looks like most people are saying James Conner. We have some David Montgomery mixed in, but it looks like we have, say, Connor, half y'all don't know how to spell Connor, Richardson, Montgomery, Connor, Montgomery, Connor Williams, Montgomery, Connor. Yeah, so I think that there is a small shot that we are going to be able to get Anthony Richardson on the way back around, as we already discussed. I mean, just when you're in it, enough of these drafts, you get to see the trends, you get to see what's happening, and I'm telling you, Dak Prescott, Anthony Richardson are consistently falling here. But Hoof coming out with a donation. Thank you. Says Bijan in the mid first for Gibbs, Pitts, and 2 early first round picks next year. So just remove the first. Would you rather have Bijan or Gibbs, Pitts, and an early 2024 first? I think it really does come down to if you're going to be rebuilding or contending, as well as your overall league format, my friend. I think it's a close enough deal where it is up to your personal preference. Okay. Yeah, so after we take Connor, you do have some wide receivers off the board here with Rashad Bateman as well as Quentin Johnston. So why I really wanted to make sure that we were just taking a wide receiver there in round 7 is I didn't want to pass on Gabe Davis. Then the team right after us decide to go back-to-back wide receiver by taking like Gabe Davis as well as, say, Quentin Johnston. And then I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, well, we literally have no options at wide receiver. Literally nothing. So I felt like it was a nice play. Alex says, when you won last year, Mason, did you play any teams similar to your winning team? That was one big surprise that I had. Okay, so if y'all don't know, on Underdog, I only say it literally every single video and every single live stream, and I will for the rest of the year, so get used to it. I won $150,000 on Underdog last year. I was the only person, I think, across pretty much anywhere to win multiple high-stakes fantasy football tournaments. I won the Big Dog 2. I won the Bulldog 2. I got 16th place in Best Ball Mania. I made the finals of the Bulldog as well, I believe. I was in the finals in like 4 or 5 different tournaments. Like, I don't know anybody else that did that. And with all of that, one of my biggest surprises was I expected that a lot of the teams were very similar, right? I mean, you look at Best Ball Mania here on Underdog, and it is a tournament with 677,000 entrants. So you would imagine that the best players always advance on the best teams, that there are a lot of duplicate teams. I did not see that at all. I was very surprised to see that in those final rounds, and even the final round in round 17, you had a lot of uniqueness, so many unique teams there, where you didn't have any duplicates. And what I was also surprised is, if you think, oh, okay, you literally need the best team in the entire world to take down Best Ball Mania, remember, Mike Evans dropped about 40 or so points last year. The team that won Best Ball Mania last year and won $2 million didn't even have Mike Evans. So it's weird. I can't really explain it. I assumed that you would need the absolute best team imaginable. And on top of that, I thought that there would be duplicate teams. And I found both things were not true. I found we were wrong with our assumptions of both things. Now, Sutton goes off the board at pick 103. Now, of course, you still need a very, very, very good team. You need a team that has a crap ton of upside. It just doesn't have to be the perfect team. And now Tesla says 70 more likes, boys. Yes, 70 more likes. We hit 350 and we'll fire up another draft after this one. And also, if you want to get in our next draft, this is Underdog Fantasy Best Ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. My favorite place to play, as you already know, I stream here literally every single day and will until the start of the season. And when you go and sign up with promo code FLOCK, you are going to get a 100% deposit match. And on top of that, you are going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com. You can find that link in the live chat or the description. Available pretty much everywhere. JCM says, can we get a gritty at 300 likes? You know the rule, my friend. A gritty at 1,000. Okay. Now, we take Freiermuth because it's the easy selection. I wouldn't even consider anybody other than Freiermuth here. Now, the issue is neither quarterback we wanted to fall to us does. We don't get Dak, and at the same time, we don't get Anthony Richardson. So me sitting here going, trust me, guys, one of them will fall to us in round 9. Clearly, I'm an idiot, and clearly, we are oh so wrong. So now the question is, what the hell am I supposed to do? They go P. Ryan. When in doubt, we're gonna take a wide receiver. It's probably a bad selection. I don't love it. I hated Allen Lazard in drafts last year. One reason I'll go ahead and I will take Allen Lazard is you had news today coming out from the Jets saying, yeah, we're not interested in DeAndre Hopkins. We're not going for Hopkins, which there's no reason for that report to come out if it's not true. Like, they have no real incentive to go through and lie about that. So yeah, well, we'll take Lazard 110. It's gross, but it is what it is. Now, let's move this down. We have Lamb, Hopkins, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Allen Lazard at wide receiver. Tight end, we have Freiermuth. Running back, we have Taylor, Etienne, Damian Pierce, James Conner. So if you're looking at potential stacking options, Dak Prescott gone, Anthony Richardson gone, Trevor Lawrence gone, DeAndre Hopkins, we don't know. He's probably going to an elite team. His quarterback's probably gone. Michael Pittman, Anthony Richardson's gone. CJ Stroud's still there. Gabe Davis is gone. Kyler Murray's still there. Kenny Pickett's still there. Aaron Rodgers is still there. So we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's move this down. Damian Harris off the board at 118. It's just such a gross range in general. Steven says Lazard will have a solid year. I hope so. Derek, happy to see you out here, my man. Asking if this is Best Ball Mania. Yes, this is Best Ball Mania, my friend. Okay. And yeah, like I said, I did not draft a Lazard at all last season. If y'all remember, Lazard was one of our wide receivers that we are laughing at people for taking. But I don't know. Like, if you're looking at the running backs, the guys that we would have in the round like 11 are honestly just as appealing to me as Devon Achane and Rashad Penny. If we're looking at wide receiver, Rashee Rice with the possibility that Hopkins is going over to KC. Okay, Rice goes 122. We wouldn't even had him. I mean, maybe it would be like Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo, Adam Thielen, and Michael Gallup. So okay, so Elijah Mitchell off the board, 123. Elijah Mitchell definitely would have been a player I would have taken if he would have made it back to us. Y'all know he's one of my favorite value in these drafts in the 11th round. Definitely way more expensive than he was back when these draft contests just opened, but I still think that he's a solid value, and I'm still happy to draft him where we can. Dalton Kincaid off the board. I would have taken Dalton Kincaid if he would have made it to us at the end of the 11th. I think it would have allowed us to only have to draft 2 tight ends. And as well, we do have Gabe Davis here, so maybe it could have been the bet. Oh, what happens if Stephon Diggs goes down? Okay, so Mason goes Dalton Schultz. Schultz would have been in play for us as well. So it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. It's not looking good. AJS says, why is Goff so low? He was solid last year. Like, one, Jared Goff does not throw the ball at all. Literally at all. I mean, sorry, he obviously throws the ball. I'm sorry, Jared Goff does not run the ball at all. But On top of this, there are a couple different things that we can look at. One, the fact that Detroit Lions defense projects to be better, and we should assume that we get less shootouts overall for the Detroit Lions this next season. Two, because he does not throw the ball at all. Even if Jared Goff, like you said, was good last year, right? Like he was better than you were expecting. Jared Goff still was, let's count this out. I mean, where was he on this quarterback list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Still the quarterback 14. And sadly, we are not getting Aaron Rodgers to pair up with Allen Lazard. Really thought we were getting Rodgers here, and clearly I'm an idiot. Okay. We'll take Darnell Mooney. We'll figure out what happens on the way back around. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I legitimately have no idea. Okay. Just it says easiest Mingo selection of Mason's entire life. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, hell, we do need the ability to take a quarterback that pairs up with one of these players later on. Bryce Young would do us just that. Mingo is about 7 picks past ADP here. We can get DJ Chark on the way back around for a potential double stack as well. If not, we can grab Hayden Hurst at the very end. So I know you're trolling, but we will go ahead and we will take Jonathan Mingo. And I will not be happy about it. That's for damn sure. Will not be happy about it. But looking at this team, it's solid if we find a freaking quarterback. Okay? That's what this team so desperately needs. I mean, now I don't know what quarterback we could get at the very ends of this draft that potentially has top 5 upside because he's in a phenomenal offense and at the same time, he has a ton of rushing upside. Now, I don't know if someone like that exists. I don't know if we would ever be able to go through and find a player like that late in the draft. Usually, drafters are smart enough to not let someone like that fall, but I don't know, maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to find someone. Now, wide receiver, we have Lamb, Hopkins, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Allen Lazard, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo. Running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Damian Pierce, James Conner. Tight end, we have Pat Freiermuth. Now, what I don't like about this team is I don't know how strong we are at tight end to stop drafting after only 2 tight ends. But at the same time, we for sure need 3 quarterbacks. And in general, in these underdog drafts, I hate the idea of taking both 3 quarterbacks as well as 3 tight ends. I really don't think you can do it. I think you honestly need to be taking 5 max between the 2. So we're probably going to be underweight at tight end just because we kind of have to be. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's swing this around. Okay. JS Air Quality says, Gasecki, let me know, who's y'all's favorite late round tight end? Like Irv Smith Jr., ADP 149, Juwan Johnson 160, Sam Laporta. I don't know if I've taken Laporta once, and I'm definitely not going to be drafting him at all. Let me pull up my exposures to these tight ends. So my most drafted late round tight ends, Hayden Hurst, Dawson Knox, Greg Dulcich, Tyler Higbee, and we've had some Juwan Johnson. Okay. Taysom, Ertz. I have been taking a little bit of Zach Ertz literally just because of y'all. Just because y'all been telling me, I've been going through and mixing in some Zach Ertz. Talon says Tyler Conklin. Maybe Tyler Conklin makes a little sense with this team because, hell, we do have Lazard. I don't know. I also really like getting Hayden Hurst. I mean, just going back to what we were talking about previously, someone has to catch the ball there in Carolina. If we have Jonathan Mingo adding in Hayden Hurst and then targeting Bryce Young as well, obviously we'd go Young, then Hurst. But we'll see. We'll see. Dylan says Gesicki is going to basically be a wide receiver in New England. I don't know how much Mike Gesicki I've drafted. Let me see. I've drafted 3% Mike Gesicki. So I do not have much Gesicki at all, my friend. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take DJ Chark. It will be a no-brainer. We took Jonathan Mingo in the last round, so we need to go through and we need to take the potential double stack there in Carolina. So we are going to be looking at Bryce Young later in this draft. But now that we have our 8th wide receiver, we are done drafting wide receivers. Our wide receiver core is going to be Lamb, Hopkins, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Allen Lazard, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo, as well as DJ Chark. Okay, Donovan Peoples-Jones goes. Okay, Love doesn't pair up with anybody. I guess we grab his tight end later on. I don't really want to. We're going to have to start taking these quarterbacks. So let's go ahead. Let's just take Jordan Love. Say maybe, just maybe, he can turn into something. We can grab a Green Bay tight end at the very end of this draft if we get ever so desperate. But at this point, I'm just completely lost for what to do there. Could have gone ahead and reached on our guy, but our guy goes round 16. So reality, I think we're going to be able to get him in the next round. But we'll see. We'll see. John says, I thought you didn't think rushing quarterbacks needed a stack. I do not view Jordan Love as some great rushing quarterback. I mean, he has some, right? You could see Jordan Love going out there and having 30 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown in a game, but it's not like he's going to be averaging 40 rushing yards by any means. All right, let's go ahead and let's figure this out. But Derek coming out with a donation. Thank you so much, my man. Says, how's the draft season been going so far? I've only done like 5 Best Ball Manias. I've just been doing golf and NBA stuff. Did take the $9 golf battle royale last Thursday. Ready to start knocking these out. Okay, my man. Crazy that you are in the streets drafting golf. I mean, I could never imagine, but I thought the draft board was very difficult to navigate whenever they just launched these contests. Like, I felt like my first 30 or 40 drafts in general, whether it was Best Ball Mania, Puppy, or the Poodle, they went very poorly. Ignore this one. This one, obviously not great. Our first quarterback comes off the board in round 14. Ignore it. In general, over the past week or two, I have been very excited about the teams that I've been drafting. But I would say that this year is just so weird in these drafts. And obviously, you know, the more drafts you get in, the more comfortable you are at different spots in these drafts. But, okay. Tanner's out here as well, drafting golf, baseball, and hockey underdog teams. Dear God. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, let me go ahead and let me pull up Jordan Love here. Like, Jordan Love college stats. Okay. Obviously, for us, it's great to see wide receivers off the board. I mean, we have 8 wide receivers. We can't really take another. Jordan Love, his best season rushing was his junior year at Utah State, where he had 175 rushing yards in 13 games. Now, keep in mind, in college, they do count stats as negative rushing yards, so that's going to be a little bit skewed there. But nonetheless, it doesn't scream that he is a phenomenal rushing quarterback, right? I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Jesse says, how much do you care about the total point projection after the drafts? I personally do not care at all. At all. Like, I do not spend a second going through and looking at my projection after the draft. what you're going to find is if you are, you're probably just going to be overdrafting quarterbacks. You're probably going to be not taking enough rookies. Don't worry about your projection. Just understand you're taking 2 to 3 quarterbacks, 4 to 6 running backs, 2 to 3 tight ends, and the rest are going to be wide receiver. Mike says, get the likes up. We only need 20 more. Let me see. I think we're past 350 likes, right? Drop a like in the live stream just in case we have not hit 350. I thought we already did. We are getting in another draft after this one if we hit 350. I thought we already did, though. But Curtis Samuel off the board, 174. And if you want to get in our next draft, of course, Underdog Fantasy, link in the live chat, link the description, promo code FLOCK for a 100% deposit match up to $100. And on top of that, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings and a free trial to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK. Available pretty much everywhere. Okay. Noah says, why don't you do this for college football? During the season, I'm not paying attention to college football. I dive in a lot with the prospects going into the NFL every offseason, but that is primarily going to be on the Dynasty channel, my friend. Like if you watch our Dynasty content, we are making stuff 24/7. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Bryce Young, get the double stack there with Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark. That's what we are going for. Our plan was Bryce Young, 179, Trey Lance, 182. Trey Lance is an ADP of 184. Generally, you're able to get him in the 16th round. Sadly, of course, because we are in a draft with other members of the flock, it doesn't happen for us, but it is what it is. So we need 3 more guys. We're going to need 1 more running back, 1 more tight ends, and 1 more quarterback. So we'll see. Tajay Spears goes, what's the news with Chase Brown? Do we have any? No. Okay. Let's see. PT needs to go with another quarterback. Only as Deshaun Watson. I wonder if they're going to draft a total of 3 quarterbacks with their team, or they're only going to take Deshaun Watson and 1 other guy. They take Stroud. I'm just going to take whatever quarterback makes it back around to us in the 18th. We'll go ahead. We'll take Chase Brown here and be done at the running back position. So we're going to draft 1 more quarterback, 1 more tight end. Tight end that we can look at is we can go ahead and we can look at Hayden Hurst. If Michael Mayer were to fall to us, we could possibly go Michael Mayer as well as Jimmy Garoppolo and get that pairing. We could possibly look at Tyler Conklin. We have Alan Lazard with this build. We could possibly go with Gesicki and Mac Jones. There are a couple different moves that we can make here, but honestly, I think we don't need to look at what we're doing in the last 2 rounds. Y'all know we're grabbing a quarterback and a tight end. I'll show off this team. I think it would have been a very strong team if we would have had quarterbacks making it to us, where we took Alan Lazard. I mean, if we had someone that we liked at the quarterback position there, it would have been very exciting. Of course, does not work out, but you're not always going to get the value that you're looking for. So real quick, wide receiver, we have Lamb, Hopkins, Pittman, Gabe Davis, Lazard, Darnell Mooney, Jonathan Mingo, DJ Chark. Running back, we have Taylor Etienne, Damian Pierce, James Conner, Chase Brown. Tight end, we have Pat Frymuth and some random bum we're going to get in the 17th, 18th round. Quarterback, we have Jordan Love, unstacked, not great. And Bryce Young double stacked with Jonathan Mingo as well as DJ Chark. But let's go ahead. Let's just hop in our next one. We're going to do another Best Ball Mania because I feel like we kind of have to redeem ourselves here, right? I think we have to get out here and make sure that we are not going to embarrass ourselves as much. Please, Underdog Gods, give us a top 3 pick. Top 3 pick. I'm not a picky man. Anywhere in the top 3. Give me 1. Give me 2. Give me... That's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. That is how it's done. You ask, they deliver. Ooh, this is going to be an exciting draft. Going to be an exciting draft. We will get Mr. Trey Lance in this one. You may be able to have sniped us in the last one with our guy. If you think you're going to be able to do it again, I'm sorry. I got bad news for you. It ain't happening. Nobody can snipe us on Trey Lance here. Let's get this going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this going. Mike says, I got the 101 as well. Obviously not in yours, though. I think you should probably be happier about getting the 101 than not getting in our draft, my man. But John says, Underdog Gods for listening. Otto says, how does this man always get a top 10 pick? I did look. I have Justin Jefferson in 10% of my drafts. So you can assume that maybe we've had Justin Jefferson fall to us once or twice at pick 2. But on average, you should get every pick about in 8%, obviously, about like 8.3%. And looks like we've gotten like the first pick like 9% of these drafts. So how? 9 is over 8. Is this rigged? Love to see it. Love to see it. Mev says Sutton 101. Not going to go Sutton at pick 1 because knowing this draft room, I think we can get Cortland Sutton at pick 2. I think we'll be able to figure it out, my friend. We'll be able to get it going. Oh, crap. I need to make sure that I am on my phone with the other draft. That would be very bad if we auto-picked. We did queue up some guys in that other one, but I want to make sure that we are still getting 1 quarterback and 2 tight ends. Okay. Jimmy Garoppolo, do we have any Raiders on that team? No. Wilson goes pick 8. Interesting. Cup falls to 6. Wilson going ahead of Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, and Austin Eckler. Not going to lie to you, I have not drafted a lot of Garrett Wilson this year. Primarily because he is very, very expensive. And in a lot of these, I simply cannot afford him. So let me go ahead and tell you how many teams I've drafted Garrett Wilson in. I've drafted Garrett. Oh my gosh. Okay. Actually, more than I thought. I thought it was going to be down at like 2 or 3%. I've drafted Garrett Wilson in 7% of these. Yeah, I'm really surprised to see that. Generally, I'm drafting a lot more Taylor and Barkley. Like Taylor, I'm at 19%. Barkley, I'm at 15%. So I'm honestly surprised to see that we even have Garrett Wilson that much. Soren says Wilson is good, but he's also a Jet. What is crazy, right, is Garrett Wilson is a wide receiver. I was going in the 10th round of these underdog drafts last year. You were getting Garrett Wilson in the 10th round. At points, Jalen Tolbert was going before him. I know nobody's going to believe that happened, but I promise you it did. If you look at the wide receivers that go in the 10th round now in underdog drafts, Zay Jones, Sky Moore, Jacoby Myers, Tyler Boyd, Odell Beckham Jr. And you were getting Garrett Wilson, an elite wide receiver prospect in the 10th because he was a Jet primarily. But I don't know. Alex says, what's your favorite pick number to get? I honestly don't really care between 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Honestly, all about the same for me. Devontae Adams makes it to 19. Devontae Adams after Waddle. Devontae Adams after Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have A.J. Brown at 14. This is going to be a wild draft, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Daniel says weird draft. Yeah, oh my gosh. Kurt says start another draft, Mason. Number 6 already won. Yes, the team with Cup, Devontae Adams, has already won this. We are wasting our time officially here. Okay, so we have Higgins, Smith, Olave all off the board. So at this point, let me be quiet until we actually make our pick. I don't know if this person's watching the stream. Yeah, so essentially at this point, we are no longer going to be drafting a wide receiver here at the 2-3 turn. Generally, I'm trying to take one of Smith, Higgins, Olave. However, you're not always going to get the possibility. Jalen Hurts is my quarterback 1 in fantasy right now. That may change. Josh Allen may leapfrog him if they get DeAndre Hopkins. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jalen Hurts. And then where else are we going? Do we go Henry? We're definitely not taking Allen. I just have so much Derrick Henry already. Y'all know I've been drafting a lot of running backs here at the beginning of the third round. In my mind, beginning of the third round, this is the sweet spot for running back this year. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Derrick Henry. Just a little hesitant because I've drafted a ton of Henry. If it was a full PPR format, maybe we can make an argument to go elsewhere, but it's half PPR. Derrick Henry should be worse than what he's been over the past 3 seasons, but I'm not expecting him to average yet again over 120 total yards per game. I understand he's going to be a little bit worse, and that's why he's going to go in round 3 rather than in round 1. Now, there are definite red flags with Derrick Henry, including both his age as well as, and more importantly probably, the offense he's playing in. So we'll take him. And Gibbs goes 31. Ooh, this draft's getting spicy. If Calvin Ridley 32. James says casually snags the wide receiver 1, running back 1, and QB 1. I would be happy if it played out that way this year, my friend. If Derrick Henry is the running back 1 overall in fantasy this year, your boy's going to be printing money. Like, I will literally just be printing. Okay, Mark Word says Kupp, Adams, and Stevenson. Yeah, number 6, I mean, the 16 with Kupp, Adams, Stevenson, definitely better than ours, right? Like, if I could have taken Kupp 6, Adams 19, Stevenson 30, I would swap these starts with them in a heartbeat. But, of course, very, very rare that you're going to get like a round 1 player like Davante Adams making it to you at round 19. Firestarter also, I mean, honestly has a beautiful start as well. I think their start may be a little bit better than ours. They have Lamar Jackson Andrews paired at the 3-4 turn. And they were also able to start CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown. I don't know. There are 2 juggernauts in here right now. Neither one of them is our team, sadly. But we can still watch greatness. We can still see if... Okay, Derek is at pick 11. Congrats, my man, on getting this awesome start. I am wishing you the best of luck. I wish I was lucky enough. I don't want to say lucky enough. That's a bad word. That downplays the phenomenal start that you had. I wish I was fortunate enough to, in the last draft, when I was at 11, have the opportunity to start this way. You've killed it and could not be more excited for you, my friend. That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay. John says, well, if there's 2 juggernauts, there are a lot of problem teams. Yes, I'd say. Honestly, I do not understand what the team at 7's doing. Bijan, Gibbs, running back, quarterback, Mahomes, Burrow. They have a red badge, and my default is if someone has a red badge, other than us, of course, they probably understand what's going on, and they probably know more than we do. They have been in over 1,000 underdog drafts. So I don't want to question them. I want to see how it plays out, and I want to see what their team looks like at the very end. Personally, not a way that I would go through and I'd build my team through the first 4 rounds, though. We'll go back-to-back wide receiver. Yes, we were talking about DJ Moore as a very bad draft pick when he was going at the 3-4 turn, when DJ Moore was going ahead of Christian Watson, ahead of DeAndre Hopkins, ahead of Jerry Jeudy, ahead of Drake London, ahead of Mike Williams. When DJ Moore was going there, we were making entire videos about it, saying that he was a landmine. To avoid him, do not be drafting him. Now you will see me draft DJ Moore at the 4-5 turn. I think that it's a fine price. I don't necessarily know if it's the best thing in the world, but we definitely want to be going wide receiver here. And we'll go ahead and we'll take the value on ADP. Okay. Let's see. Mev says, is Kenneth Walker not a better pick than DJ Moore? I would say yes, if you were playing in a shallow redraft format where you're only starting 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex, and a tight end, then yes, go ahead and take Kenneth Walker there. However, looking at how difficult it's going to be to find wide receiver value later on in this underdog draft, I am very comfortable finding running back value. So I'm instead going to go with the wide receiver here, maybe quote unquote sacrifice a little bit of the Kenneth Walker value. That way we can take advantage of the running back value we'll have later on. Okay, now Mr. Nickel back up on the clock with Kupp, Adams, Stevenson, Hopkins. Let's see what they do here. They go TJ Hawkinson, pick 54. GG. Good game, everybody. I mean, wrap it up in the draft. Just beautiful start through the first 5 rounds. I've drafted probably almost 150 teams on Underdog so far, and I don't know how many of those I've liked as much as this one. Through the first 5 rounds, definitely we'll see what their draft looks like through the rest of this, but that is one of the best starts that I've seen on Underdog all offseason. I really want to monitor Team 11 as well. Firestarter is is a member of the flock and out here hanging out on this live stream with us. Really excited to see what he can do as well. Pick 11. Okay. Now, Trevor Lawrence goes 57. Firestarter not looking for Lawrence, I'm assuming. I am very much rooting for Firestarter. Goes Dobbins, pick 59. So they are all in on that Baltimore Ravens offense with Lamar, Dobbins, and Mark Andrews. Sanders goes off the board 60 as well as Addison. Let's see what Firestarter does here. Interesting spot where you have Kittle, Godwin both falling past ADP. They already have Mark Andrews. I don't know what the right call is. They go Dameon Pierce there at 62, staying very balanced to grab both running backs here at the turn. Honestly, I'm fine with it. Obviously, ADP value is either Kittle or Godwin, but you don't have to listen to ADP all the time. We're going to be really excited to continue to monitor that team. Okay. And real quick, we actually may have a chance to fire up a 3rd draft after this one. If you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we hit 550 likes in the stream, which we have about that many people watching right now, we will go ahead and we will fire up another draft after this. We have a little cool pattern going if you look at that purple down diagonal. But nonetheless, if you want to get in that next draft with us, of course, you can go sign up for Underdog. Use promo code FLOCK. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, get a 100% deposit match up to $100. On top of that, get my 2023 fantasy football rankings. On top of that, get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. I won $150,000 on Underdog last year, drafted over 700 teams. Best ball, no time commitment at all during the season. So you better believe we'll be drafting here every single freaking day until the season starts. And real quick, just in case you think Underdog's not available in your state, here's a map of everywhere it's available. I'm pretty damn sure it's available in your state. There are only like 6 that it's not in. Available also everywhere in Canada, but Ontario. Now, let's move this around. Otto says 6 just ruined his draft with Tony. I don't want to say it. I don't want to be the guy to point it out. But in my mind, and of course, I'm just your local idiot, right? Taking Tony over either Godwin or Evans does not seem great. Like I said, I'm an idiot. I could very easily be wrong, but oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is going well. Dallas Goedert paired up with Jalen Hurts. Love Goddard in general. Love the value. We needed a Jalen Hurts stack. Works out in so many different ways. Now, the question is, what else do we do from here? We do have Jefferson. Dalvin does look like he's on the way out in Minnesota. We only have one running back. The running back is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry ready for the retirement home. Do we add in another running back to be Eden putting next to him in said retirement home? I think we probably do. We'll go ahead. We will draft Dalvin. And we will see what happens. In general, if we are drafting on Underdog right now, specifically in these large tournaments like Best Ball Mania, when we have limited information, right? Where we don't know where Dalvin Cook's playing this next season. There's a chance he's in Minnesota. There's a chance he's in Miami. There's a chance he's in Kansas City. You have no idea where Dalvin Cook will be. I like the idea of taking the low floor, high upside player where you have the ability for ADP to wildly swing, right? So it's a $25 buy-in. It's a $3 million prize pool. I want to be taking those shots on players we could see wildly change in value. Dalvin Cook could easily go down to maybe the 9th round. That's a possibility. Dalvin Cook could also go back up to being a 4th, 5th round pick. So we're going to take that swing here. Now, Mr. Shock, always happy to see you, my friend, says, great stream as always. Got offered Burrow and Hall for Fields, Derrick Henry, and Dameon Pierce in a full PPR dynasty. Should I pull the trigger? I personally think, hell yes. I'd much rather have Joe Burrow over Justin Fields in dynasty. I would much rather have Breece Hall over the combination of Derrick Henry and Dameon Pierce. I think it's a great trade. Go ahead and make it, my friend. Now, that team that took Tony at 67, in my mind, grabs another great value of Gabe Davis at pick 78. I mean, I think it would be my favorite underdog team maybe of the entire year if it was Godwin over Tony. But of course, like I said, I'm the local idiot. I could be completely wrong. Okay. Now, let's look at this. James Conner goes 84. Quentin Johnston, 85. So if we're looking at stacks on the way back around, right? Cousins does pair up with Jefferson, Dalvin. Unsure if Dalvin will be in Minnesota, blah, blah, blah. Fields already off. Sam Howell, very late round pick. And honestly, we could go just Jalen Hurts and Sam Howell. When you have Jalen Hurts, you have the luxury of only drafting one more quarterback, and that quarterback being round like 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, of course, if I personally am looking for a quarterback in rounds 16, 17, 18, I have my personal preference. I don't know who he may be, but Waller goes 88. Waller would have been beautiful to have, but at the same time, it would have been a pipe dream getting him, right? Like, realistically speaking, what's the probability we get Darren Waller there? Highly, highly unlikely. So let's move this down. We have Evan Ingram going off the board 90. Oh, yeah. Let's go back and let's look at what Firestarter's doing. This is the other team that was very exciting earlier in this draft. Montgomery, 86. Interesting. Cooks, 83. So they're setting themselves up with the ability to go through and go in on that Dallas Cowboys offense with a combination of CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks here. Be very exciting if they can get Dak Prescott on the way back around at pick 107. Personally, I most likely am not taking Dak Prescott at pick 96, 97. I really wouldn't have a reason to do so, but we'll see what others are doing. Okay. Javonte off the board at 93. This is just a gross range in general, right? Oh, you know what? I have an interesting idea here. Tua goes 94. Okay. I don't want to say what we're doing just yet. Dak goes 95. Okay. Here's my thought process. Here on the turn, we could go with the New Orleans Saints stack. We could go Thomas and Kamara, or we could get unique and decide to go with David Njoku and Elijah Moore. If we take Njoku, then we're going to be done drafting tight ends there with Dallas Goedert and David Njoku. I think that's what we probably do. Let's mix it up. Let's go ahead and let's build in the correlation in New Orleans. I'm sorry, not in New Orleans, in Cleveland. Will be a unique combo based on how these ADPs line up. Hopefully we can find running back value that we like later on at the 10-11 turn. We'll see. One of my hesitations with going through taking Thomas and Kamara here is, one, I've already drafted a ton of round 9 Alvin Kamara. Like, I have an embarrassing amount of Alvin Kamara so far in these drafts. 2, if you're looking at our running back core, right? I mean, we currently have Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. So if we're going through and telling a story, right? How does this play out this next season? Does it play out in that just every old, dusty retirement home running back ends up coming out and dominating? Is it likely that you have nobody falling off between Henry, Dalvin, and Kamara? Probably not. Imagine you get one of those guys falling off a bit. I don't know. Maybe that's faulty logic. I don't know. I'm going to have a difficult time going through, and I think you could easily do it. I think you could either do one or the other. Now, of course, if you end up having DeAndre Hopkins going over to Cleveland, very bad turn of events there. Pick 96 and 97. We'll see. We'll see. And at this point, we're really wanting to see tight ends fly off the board, right? Anthony Richardson goes 101. Brian Robinson 102. Michael Thomas makes it all the way down to 103. NBF says, but round 9 Kamara is so juicy. I'm not going to deny it, my friend. Round 9 Kamara is difficult for me to pass up on. Yeah, I mean, you know, I have a ton of round 9 Alvin Kamara. Okay. P. Ryan goes 104. Not great for us. We only have 2 running backs so far. We're definitely looking for another RB. And with Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, David Njoku already all on this team, we are set up in a way where we're most likely going to go ahead and only draft 2 quarterbacks as well as 2 tight ends with this build. So if that's going to be the case, honestly, we'll be in a spot where we can draft 6 running backs and 8 wide receivers. Obviously, we could also go 5 running backs and 9 wide receivers, but I probably prefer the 6 and 8 builds with this team in particular. I mean, we do have Jefferson as well. It'd be a little different if we didn't have Jefferson, right? We have more McLaurin. I think we're fine with 8 wide receivers. Okay. Let's move this down. Mev says, doesn't Thomas have insane upside? I feel like he'd be the perfect type for this draft. I mean, yeah, that's kind of why Michael Thomas is going around 8, round 9, right? It's because of his upside profile. Like last time you saw Michael Thomas fully healthy, he was the wide receiver 1 overall in fantasy, but that was back in 2019. Like, I don't know if you have to go all back through this, but think about how long ago 2019 was. You had all of 2020. All of 2021, all of 2022, and now we're here. So, I mean, you have some upside with Thomas. I don't think you can sit here and say Thomas has the upside to be number 1 overall. I think Michael Thomas could be a top 24 wide receiver this next season, if we're going to be realistic. Okay, now we are no longer drafting tight ends unless one falls to an insane value. Khalil Herbert off the board at 115. We are going to be quarterback, running back, wide receiver. If we were looking at quarterbacks, Geno Smith doesn't really do much for us. It's just going to depend on the other options that are there. I mean, if we do get Geno Smith about 5 picks past ADP, if everybody else looks disgusting, we could go in that direction and say, okay, well, maybe Metcalf, JSN, and Lockett all randomly pop off in each individual weeks, and you don't really need one of them to pop off for Geno Smith to have a big game, or maybe you get a random Geno Smith rushing touchdown, right? Mike says, hard to trust Thomas, but in these best ball drafts, he's a good gamble. I don't want to sit here and act like Michael Thomas is the worst thing in the world. Let me see how many of these drafts I have Michael Thomas in. Certainly not a lot, but I had Thomas in 7%. Okay, Geno goes. We weren't taking Geno anyway, but okay. Myers is a pick for us. The question is with the other guys. We've already made the bet that Hopkins is not going to Cleveland by us taking Elijah Moore and David Njoku. If he's not going to Cleveland, maybe that makes it a little more likely for him to go to Kansas City and disrupt Sky Moore. Maybe we just go and get the guy that we personally really like, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead. We are going to get Elijah Mitchell, a running back that should be involved somewhat even when Christian McCaffrey's healthy, a running back that I think could randomly score some touchdowns like we saw at the end of this past year, and then a running back as well that averaged 100 total yards per game his rookie season before everything happened last year. So I think you have an okay pick. Obviously, it's just an okay pick if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. But I think you have a great pick if CMC were to go down. Now, Jeep Guy says, did you see the Tom Dwan $3 million pot last night? I did not. I heard about it. I'm watching the entire live stream from start to finish. So I'm trying to stay away from seeing any of like the videos or seeing any of the clips. I like very rarely will I go through watch an entire poker live stream, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a monumental game where I do want to watch it. And we're sitting at our computer for 9 hours a day, at minimum anyway, and the stream's 9 hours a day. I mean, so the stream's 9 hours. So I think we are like 3 or 4 hours into it. I don't know how far in the $3 million pot is. Jeep Guy says, my bad on the giveaway. Now, I heard about it, my friend. I already know that it happened. I just haven't seen it. Okay. Now, Sky Moore does go pick 125. Jared Goff, 126. Good for us to see these tight ends go. Like, Dalton Schultz is someone I've taken, honestly, too much of. Dalton Kincaid going. Good for us to see both those players off the board just because we're probably not drafting another tight end in this room. Okay. Carson says, did you change your mind on DJ Moore? No, I did not. I have to see, this is why it's difficult for me to go through and make a video about a player and then his price point completely changes. We were saying DJ Moore was a very bad pick when he was going before Christian Watson, before DeAndre Hopkins, before Jerry Jeudy, before Keenan Allen, before Mike Williams. DJ Moore used to go at the 3-4 turn. Now we're getting him here at the 4-5 turn. We're getting him like 8 wide receiver slots after where he's being drafted. So I'll take DJ Moore as like the wide receiver 26 in a draft, right? Not excited to take DJ Moore as like the wide receiver 17, 18 as he was going previously. Okay. Now we have Cole Kmet off the board 132. The second year tight end in Tennessee off the board 133. Good for us. Good for us. Firestarter decides to go Mingo Gallup. So going all in on Dallas here with the Gallup selection for the triple stack with no Dak Prescott. Move this over. And we are 1 like away from hitting 500 likes in the live stream. If you have not done so already and you want to be our 500 like on the stream, go down there and hit that like button. If we hit 550, we are firing up another draft after this. You know that draft is on Underdog. You can get ready, hop into it. Link in the live chat, link in the description. Use promo code FLOCK for a 100% deposit match. Now let's smooth this over. Russ, if he were to fall to us, it'd be 12 picks past ADP. If he were to fall to us, we could be looking at Marvin Mims, Tim Patrick later on. Thielen would be a fine pick. Collins would be a fine pick. Roshan would be a fine pick. I'm fine with a lot of these guys. I personally know what I want. I don't know if it's going to happen, though. Nico Collins goes off the board at 139. Alec Pierce goes 140. What we want is still in play. What we want is still in play. Now it's not. Adam Thielen off the board. What we are wanting is to set up a Carolina stack to take Thielen as well as Chark, and then possibly be looking at Bryce Young at the very end of this. But obviously, you get some, you don't get the others. So it is what it is. A Rickster on the clock. Warren 142. We may be looking at Russ here. Roshan goes, who would have been one of the guys we're taking. We can't take tight end. I do not like Hyatt. Carr doesn't do anything for us. Love doesn't do anything for us. Kyler doesn't do anything for us. We can get Marvin Mims, pick 160-ish. We can get Tim Patrick in the 17th round. The wide receivers here at the end of the day are very similar to the wide receivers that we'd be looking at later on. No running backs here are really in play for me. So we'll go ahead. We will take Russell Wilson. But now once we take Russ, we are done drafting quarterbacks. We're done drafting QB. If we really like a tight end value at the very end of the draft, we can go through. We can take a third tight end, but most likely we're not taking a third tight end either. Most likely we are just going to be taking 2 QBs as well as 2 tight ends. So here with this team, we have Jefferson, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Elijah Moore, Jacoby Myers, DJ Chark at wide receiver. Running back, we have Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Elijah Mitchell. Tight end, we have Dallas Goedert, David Njoku. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts as well as Russell Wilson. So I like the team. Let's just hope that we have a lot of blue and purple off the draft board in the next few rounds. Okay. Carson says, what are your thoughts on the Miami backfield? I think most likely there's another running back going to Miami. Like, if we think through this, it seems like, based on all the training videos you get in the offseason, most players really like Miami, the city. Most players like hanging out in Miami. On top of this, Florida has no state income tax. I'm sure most players would like. On top of this, they are a contending team with a great offense. So I would say that it is probably a prime destination. And of course, I'm unsure. But I'd imagine it's a prime destination for a running back, right? Could be wrong. Like, nobody's going to Houston, right? I'd be very surprised if Leonard Fournette finds his way to the Houston Texans. They're not a contender. I don't really know why you'd want to. Whereas if you can go to a contending Miami Dolphins team, it's probably a pretty damn good spot. Okay. Now, Rue says 20 more likes. Let's go. 20 more likes to fire up another draft after this one. Looks like we're probably getting in a third draft. Dear God. We may have to raise these thresholds, or I may have to start streaming earlier in the day when less people can come out live, because if we are starting the nightly live streams now, last year we did 200 days in a row live. This year it looks like if we started, like a month ago, we'd be looking at a little closer to like 260 days in a row live. And what am I freaking saying? 550 likes is absolutely ridiculous. Mike says, how do you feel about Kyle Pitts this season? Are we getting redemption? I'm honestly drafting Kyle Pitts at his ADP. Obviously, an elite player. The issue with Pitts, the issue with London last year, was primarily the Atlanta Falcons passing offense. One of, if not the worst passing offenses in the entire NFL. You had no volume whatsoever, where London literally had like a 30% market share and did literally nothing. So I think you definitely get an improvement on from where they were a year ago. Okay. Brody says 350 first and then 600 for second after today, obviously. Honestly, I kind of like, I don't know, 550 is just so damn much already. Singletary goes 165. Really like the Singletary pick. If you would have made it to us, we would have taken him. So Marvin Mims sadly did not make it to us. It is what it is. There's so many damn players in Denver. I mean, Russ can have a spike week, pretty much anybody. Russ can have a spike week and nobody else can be a league winner that week as well. Okay. I think we go Deonta and Wan'Dale. Keep it mixed up. I think we want to be drafting 6 running backs, 8 wide receivers with this team. Deontay Foreman checks a couple boxes. One, the decision-making ability for Foreman, off the charts, okay? The number one way you can evaluate someone's decision-making ability is looking at one of the biggest decisions they ever make, where they go to school. He went to the University of Texas at Austin to be a Texas Longhorn. That tells me the man's a genius. That tells me the man knows what's going on. He can make good decisions. He can hit the right hole. We'll take him there at pick 168. We'll go Wan'Dale Robinson, who's a great prospect, and with Wan'Dale, definitely flashed his rookie season. Now, the issue with Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously, is he's coming off a torn ACL, but at the same time, if he was not coming off a torn ACL, I think he'd be way higher. I think it'd be like a 9th round pick. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's move this down. So team 1, at wide receiver, we have Jefferson, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Elijah Moore, Jacoby Myers, DJ Chark, Wan'Dale Robinson. Running back, we have Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Elijah Mitchell, Deonta Foreman. Tight end, we have Goddard, David Njoku. Quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson. So if you're looking at the offenses that so far we've made the bet on in this draft, we've made the bet on Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. We've made the bet on Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook. We've made the bet on Chicago with DJ Moore, Deonta Foreman. We made the bet on the Cleveland Browns with David Njoku as well as Elijah Mitchell. So we have some consolidated bets. We have some correlation with this team. I like it overall. I like it overall. Definitely better than our last one. Okay. Now, let's go ahead. Let's move this down. And honestly, I think what we're going to do is we're going to make our pick at 192 and 193, and then we're going to bounce to our next draft because it looks like we hit 550, so we're going to pick a 192, 193, and then we're going to fire up our next one. So, of course, if you want to get in our next one, Underdog Fantasy, link in the live chat, link in the description, link in the comment section. In all seriousness, if you enjoyed these live streams every single day, how we streamed 200 days in a row last year, how we are just streaming legitimately nonstop and making nonstop videos, Underdog's the reason we're able to do that. So if you really want to show your support with these live streams, if you want to have some fun, hop into Draft or Two, link in the live chat, link in the comment section, promo code FLOCK. You're not going to find another freaking person in the fantasy football community that's doing literally half of what we're doing. Literally half. Okay. Now we have Chase Claypool, 183, Tyquan Thornton, 181. Okay, now let's move this around. I can't really take quarterback or tight end. Maybe if like Bryce Young would make it to us in like the 18th round, then we would go ahead and take him. Maybe if Trey Lance would make it to us in like the 18th round, maybe we'd go ahead and take him. In reality, we pretty much just can't. Now, trust me, if I would have known for sure that we would have had Trey Lance sitting here at pick 192, 193, I can pretty much guarantee you I would have passed on Russell Wilson and I would have taken Trey Lance. Pretty much guarantee that. Leonard Fournette off the board, 189. Fournette definitely a running back that we would have been targeting. I have a couple ideas of what I really want to do here. Let's see if we can pull it off. Okay. Jay says, Mason hiding Justin Ross from the stream is his last pick. I promise you I'm not doing that. I've not taken Justin Ross once, and I will not be taking Justin Ross once. Hunter Renfrow, guy that we definitely wanted. We had Jacoby Myers. We could take Renfrow, make the overall bet on the Raiders, and at the same time, maybe Adams goes down. Both Renfrow as well as Jacoby Myers hit. Isaiah Hodgins, definitely another guy that we are going to be looking at. Make the double bet with Wan'Dale Robinson, Isaiah Hodgins. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to grab our favorite running back on the board right now in Kareem Hunt, someone that you could see a wild swing with their ADP by the time we get to the start of the season. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Tim Patrick as well to pair up with Russell Wilson. So we will queue up our running backs. I'll show you the guys that I'm queuing up. We'll go Gus Edwards, top dog here. He's immediately off. You figured he wasn't going to go. And now James Robinson is someone that we were sneaking in the last round in the vast majority of these. You're seeing James Robinson's ADP climb up. This is a big reason I don't like showing y'all who were taking the 18th round, because now I'm not able to get James Robinson in the 18th in every single draft like we were previously. We'll go ahead and, honestly, maybe we'll queue up some wide receivers as well if we don't get the running backs that we want. We'll go. I'm not going to show y'all what we're doing here. James Robinson's our main guy. Let's go ahead and let's just jump into our next Best Ball Mania draft. And I'm going to max out Best Ball Mania really quick at this rate. And crap. Yeah, y'all probably just saw what happened, right? I think we are going to be going up against member of the flock after member of the flock after member of the flock. This is going to be tough, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know where you are in this draft. I know you're in here. I know you are. NRG, I already saw you at pick 1, my man. Caesar, pick 12, already saw you. Let's see who else. I know y'all are in here. I know. Jimmy's a member of the flock in there at 9. Anthony's in there at pick 3. Josh pick 6. Austin pick 2. DeMarcus in here again at pick 10. Yeah, this is going to be tough, ladies and gentlemen. NFL Blitz out here pick 8. Graham says pick 3, clearly not a member of the flock. Flocking up my dude. Flogging up my dude's been the longest member of the flock. Eric at 7. Oh, this is going to be tough. C says it better than I ever could. Dear God, ladies and gentlemen. Hill goes, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Cup. I mean, y'all have already heard me say it a million times. Why we're going to go ahead. Why we're going to take a wide receiver over a running back here. The very beginning of round 1. And let's see what happens. Oh, dear God. Let me make sure that in that other draft, I'm not going to auto pick someone we don't want. Okay. Hey, James Robinson's still queued up. We may still get him. I guess maybe we could go a third tight end if we really strike out on literally everybody we want. Oh, Zamir White. That's a name. Okay. Garrett says, one draft today, somehow I got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Love to see it, my friend. Yeah, we actually had an easier time in my mind of getting the combo of Hill and Waddle back when these drafts first started compared to what you see now. Now it's like impossible to get those guys together. God, I'm sorry. My contacts slide. My contacts really bothering me. Daniel says, can you name some potential red flags with Cooper Kupp? One, the overall offense that you have for the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe, just maybe, this team yet again decides to punt this next season. I mean, Matthew Stafford stubs his pinky toe on the dining room table and he says, you know what, man, I made enough money. You know what? We have no shot to win a Super Bowl this year. I already have my Super Bowl. I'm going to sit this one out. That's a concern that you could possibly have with Cooper Kupp. On top of that, with Kupp, while he was only drafted in 2017, a little bit of an older option as well. Cooper Kupp is pushing 30 at this point because he stayed so long in college. So those would be really the only two concerns that you could possibly have with Kupp, right? I mean, Kupp himself is fully healthy. Kupp himself was elite last year from a per game perspective. He was elite the year before from a per game perspective. Really, the only concern that you're going to have with Cooper Kupp is going to be the overall offense that you have in Los Angeles, as well as, I mean, his age. But in reality, I think the red flags with Kupp are extremely limited. Caesar coming out says, first time I've ever taken Bijan. Hell, pretty strong value, my friend. Pretty strong value. Going to Olave at 13 over Garrett Wilson. That is the first time I've seen that. Now, Joshua says, hey, Mason, this is my first time in the live stream, but I've been watching the channel for almost a year now. Thank you so much, my man. Really happy to have you out and hanging out with us. Okay, St. Brown makes it a pick 16. DeMarcus goes Eckler, Taylor, complete opposite of what DeMarcus did in the last one. Okay. Oh my gosh, what the hell? That other draft, just to let you know, the best running back on the board was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So instead of taking a 6th running back, we probably made the mistake in taking a 3rd tight end. Honestly, we probably should have taken the 6th running back anyway. I just couldn't bring myself to draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Gesicki. We'll see. Now, what are we looking at here, ladies and gentlemen? Gavin on the clock. Went CMC round 1. Goes Jalen Hurts. So we'll go ahead. We will take Nick Chubb. Like I said, I made a big mistake earlier in the offseason and literally up until yesterday when I was doing the research on Nick Chubb of assuming that Nick Chubb belonged in the same tier as the other guys that you were looking at in round 3 at running back. I was assuming that Nick Chubb belonged in the same tier as Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. And in reality, we were very much wrong in that assumption. So previous to over the past few days, I had been going through and sneaking in some T. Higgins drafts over Nick Chubb. I've been taking Devonta Smith in some drafts over Nick Chubb, saying, well, you know what? The wide receivers in round 3 are pretty much going to be really crappy. I'd rather grab a wide receiver like Higgins and then a running back like Josh Jacobs than take Nick Chubb and a wide receiver like DK Metcalf. Well, just in case you didn't get to see the video earlier this morning, we essentially just had to come out and admit I was completely wrong. And yes, Nick Chubb is in a completely different tier than those other RBs. So in my mind, it does make sense to go through and take Nick Chubb there, even if it's going to make life later in the draft difficult for you, to say the least. Okay. Allen goes, it's been really nice getting Josh Allen making it to us. So this is the main issue and why I haven't been taking a lot of Chubb, because I cannot bring myself to take DK Metcalf over Josh Jacobs. We've tested it out in 1 or 2 drafts and it does not work. It is disgusting. I would much prefer going through and just taking the running back here. In my mind, the strongest value on the board. So I'll go ahead. I'll take Jacobs at pick 28. And we will try to make this work later on. Like I said, I don't have a lot of experience in going through and taking running back at the 2-3 turn. Generally, it's not something that I've done because it's so easy to find running back value later on and very difficult to find wide receiver. So we'll see. We'll see. Now, the teams right next to us are very interesting. And both Gavin as well as Josh have yet to take a wide receiver in this draft. You have both teams with a very similar build, an elite running back, an elite tight end, an elite quarterback. Really interesting to see this. I really want to see how this is going to play out. What's also interesting about the decision of taking Mark Andrews here for Gavin is if you're going to go through and play out how the next few rounds will look, you have Jalen Hurts here, right? You can't go through and take A.J. Brown. You can't go through and take Devonta Smith. You know you're not going to have any shot for that. So really the only stacking option that you have later in this draft, unless if you include someone like DeAndre Swift, which you probably don't want to, is going to be Dallas Goedert. So if Dallas Goedert's really the only other stacking option that you have in this draft, and you would take him at pick 68, do we want to be taking Andrews there, or do we want to be passing on Andrews, letting another team at the end of the 3rd round get Mark Andrews and make it where that team is more likely to pass on Dallas Goedert, giving us Dallas Goedert at pick 68? I don't know. NRG says, Mason, you and I have a similar build, and I'm at the 101. Yeah, definitely similar build there with Kupp, Chubb, Jacobs versus Jefferson, Pollard, Henry. So yeah, I'm going to be interested to track a couple of these teams. Okay. So we have some discussion about Nick Chubb's devastating college injury. Got a couple different things to talk about there. One, it was 2016 that happened. Think about how freaking long ago 2016 was. And if that was going to be something that we really needed to be concerned with, would it have already showed up? Because here are the games Nick Chubb's played since he stepped into his NFL career. 16, 12, 14, 17. Chubb really hasn't missed any time. Nick Chubb really hasn't dealt with any injuries. So I don't know. Colin says, hey, Mason, what's your opinion on double stacking and triple stacking? When does it become too much or excessive? If you're going to be in one of these large field tournaments, I think it becomes, at a point, it becomes too much. I personally never really go for 4 players on my team unless we're getting those guys at the very end of the draft, right? Like if you were to go through and say, take Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, and Hayden Hurst, and like we have a triple stack there at the very, very end where we didn't spend any high draft capital on any of those guys, maybe you could make it work. But in general, I'm looking to try to just get 3 guys from the same offense. I'm not looking to go for 4. Okay. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Jerry Jeudy. Not really overthinking it. Whenever we have running back as our picks at the 2-3 turn, I feel like our hand is a little bit forced in that we should be going ahead and we should be taking wide receiver at the 4-5 turn, right? And then Storm's going to go Joe Burrow. They have to be super excited by getting Burrow there with the Chase Higgins double stack. But like this is an example, right? You go through and you take Chase Higgins, Burrow all on the same team. Am I wanting to take Joe Mixon here at pick 50? Hell to the no. I mean, at that point, what's your real week-to-week ceiling if we're going through and taking only Cincinnati Bengals with 4 out of our first 5 picks? So they go through, they take DJ Moore. Like I said, DJ Moore now, if he's going to be going in this range, I'm fine. If you draft, we have to go ahead. We have to take a wide receiver pair at the 4-5 turn, because at the 2-3 turn, we took Nick Chubb and Josh Jacobs. So we'll go ahead and we will take Christian Kirk here. Mr. Clad says, quick, name the other Georgia running back that went before Chubb in the same draft. He had Sony Michel going before him, pick 30 to the New England Patriots. Nick Chubb, I believe, went pick 36 to the Cleveland Browns in 2018. What was funny is Sony Michel was sold to be like the Alvin Kamara player, which what's hilarious about that is he literally never caught the ball in college. Okay. Let me see if we were correct in this. Y'all have to give me some massive props. If I not only, obviously remembering Sony Michel went before Nick Chubb in that same draft, that's not impressive. But if I was able to remember exactly where these guys went, y'all have to give me some props. Okay. Okay. Sony went pick. Our call was 30. Was it 30? 31. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Okay. Nick Chubb, our call was 36. It was 35. Okay, yeah. 31 and 35. We're pretty damn close, though. All right, the 30 and 36. If you combine them together, hell, we called it. We called it. Total of 66 between the two. Marker Word, happy to see you as always, says, I find it crazy with Hill and Waddle being so high, but Tua is so far down in ADP. How do you expect such high production from them without Tua ball into? This is why back in the day, I went through in the year that you had the breakout from Chris Godwin, I went and drafted Jameis Winston in a lot of leagues because you were looking at the expectation that you had from the combination of Evans as well as Godwin. And I was sitting here doing some little napkin math, and I was like, okay, well, if he's going to be this good and he's going to be this good, it doesn't mean the quarterback has to score a lot of points. And I think a reasonable explanation for it is people do not respect Tua for whatever reason, but people respect the wide receivers. I don't know why Tua is so disrespected. I think Tua is a fine quarterback. Tua led the NFL in adjusted yards per pass attempt last year, directly out of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know. Now Lockett goes pick 65. Let's swing this around. So not too much for us to be looking at. We could end up looking at Trevor Lawrence here, considering the fact that this team has Mahomes, this team has Jalen Hurts, probably getting Trevor Lawrence at pick 69 to pair up with Christian Kirk, which is exciting. Ayuk goes 67. See, this is what I was talking about. Does Gavin go Dallas Goedert here to stack with Hurts, even though he already has Andrews? I personally probably would, but I don't know what he does. He goes Swift. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Trevor Lawrence. Super easy pick. We need a quarterback. I mean, he falls, 6 picks past ADP at this point. We get the pair with Christian Kirk. That makes a lot of sense. Go ahead and just grab Trevor Lawrence. If we really, really, really wanted to get cute with this, what we could do is we could go ahead and take Dallas Goedert, saying, okay, well, the team that has Josh Allen is most likely not taking Trevor Lawrence. The team that has Joe Burrow is most likely not taking Trevor Lawrence. And do we just dodge NRG with Trevor Lawrence at pick 72 or 73? If we wanted to get cute with it, maybe we could go ahead and pull that off. In reality, probably just have to go ahead and take him, and we'll just figure out what makes it back around to us. Jesse says, I think Kirk has a better season than Ridley. I don't think Kirk scores more points than Calvin Ridley this upcoming season, but I do think that he has a higher win rate. If you take into consideration where these two players go, where Calvin Ridley in the vast majority of these drafts goes at the end of the third, here he falls to pick 40, but nonetheless, he's an ADP of 33. So Calvin Ridley in the vast majority of these goes before Travis Etienne, Jahmyr Gibbs, Najee Harris. Whereas with Christian Kirk, he goes here at the beginning of the 5th. I would definitely prefer building more Christian Kirk teams than Calvin Ridley. And I love Ridley. I thought I was going to be higher on Ridley than anybody else. Now, let me go ahead and pull up what we actually have here in terms of how many leagues I've drafted each guy in. Let's move this down. So I have Kirk in, oh my gosh, I only have him in that many leagues. This is embarrassing. I have Ridley in 2% of drafts. I'm not drafting much Calvin Ridley. And I have Christian Kirk in 4% of drafts. If I'm looking at all Jacksonville Jaguars, I have Etienne in 14%, Evan Ingram in 10%, Lawrence in 10%, Zay Jones in 8%, Bigsby in 6%, Christian Kirk in 4%, and Calvin Ridley in 2%. So hopefully, Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk do not make me pay for it, but we'll see. Now we have Watson going off the board, 84, James Conner, 85. Now, I do want to point this out. This is something that I see very, very often. And generally, it's not a great take. I know this isn't exactly what Tesla's saying, but I just want to make sure that we are all on the same page here. This isn't exactly what Tesla's saying, but I'm going to reword this because I see this other statement a lot. Player X is going to be better than player Y because now Christian Kirk gets to go up against the number 2 cornerback and Calvin Ridley has to go up against the number 1 guy. That's not really how football works anymore. That's not really how defensive coordinators go up and say, like, hey, we're stopping Calvin Ridley. Like, in general, you want the wide receiver one on the team. So I know that's not what you're saying, but just want to make sure that we're on the same page with that. Anthony says, 1 quarterback, full PBR. I have JT, Etienne, Walker, Garrett Wilson, Metcalf, Higgins, JSN. Should we sell Najee for Elijah Moore, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, Tank Bigsby, Tank Dell, Strange, or keep for insurance? No, do not do this, my friend. The worst thing that you can do in Dynasty, especially in a shallower format that's like a one quarterback league, is go through and sell $1 for 10 dimes. Do not do it, my friend. Do not do that. Please. Okay. So far, quarterback, we have Lawrence. Running back, we have Chubb, Jacobs. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Judy, Kirk, Burks. Thomas goes. Thomas was not going to be someone we were looking at, so good for us. This team goes Javonte. Crap. I really wanted Javonte Williams here. We'll go ahead. We'll take Evan Ingram to get the double stack with Lawrence. We get Ingram at ADP, slightly behind ADP. Doesn't really matter. We don't have a tight end. Gives us the flexibility to possibly draft 2 to 3 tight ends. So, yeah, I mean, Nathan out here says Evan Ingram, the easy pick. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do it. What I was kind of looking at is what these teams had over here, where this team had Dallas Goedert. This team had Hawkinson. So I was sitting here going, oh, okay, well, I've seen Ingram fall to the 9th round in a decent amount of these. Can we push the envelope? Is there a chance Ingram falls for us? There's no reason to just go through and roll those dice. We can just go ahead and take them. Okay. NRG says, guess who I draft? Okay, so let's, real quick. Dak and Jameson. Kamara. Okay. It takes our guy Kamara. Never mind. Energy, let me know, are you drafting a lot of Alvin Kamara this year? I mean, Kamara is one of my most drafted running backs going in the 9th round. I mean, I just think it's really strong value, even if he has massive red flags. Well, let me know. Mr. Klatt says, Dalvin to Miami could be fire. I mean, it would be beautiful. Henry says, if Kamara gets a year's suspension, I'm not worried about Alvin Kamara getting a year's suspension. I honestly would probably be surprised. Okay, what the hell am I supposed to do? Literally, David Njoku was going to be my pick. Okay. Do we mix it up and go Zach Charbonnet? Do we take Dak and go Gallup? I'm going to mix it up. We don't have a lot of Zach Charbonnet. I feel like he kind of fits this roster construction. I can't come up with an argument to be made to take Jameson, Juju, Dak, or Tua. Maybe we could try to get unique and take Tua without Tyreek and without Waddle, and then go for Devon Achane on the way back around. You make an argument to do that? I don't know. Anyway, some people saying Charbonnet. NRG took our favorite player in Cortland Sutton. Honestly, if Sutton would have made it to us at pick 100 and we had Judy setting up the stack to go out there and get Russ, there's a chance I would have taken Sutton. I'm not going to lie. I've taken some Cortland Sutton here. Like, let me go ahead and let me figure this out. How many drafts have I taken Sutton in? It is funny now if I draft Cortland Sutton, like I'll get people like tweeting at me saying like, oh, you're busted. You know, I'll say I haven't made a single video this year about Cortland Sutton being severely overrated in fantasy. Now, yes, that's all we talked about last year because he was going in the 3rd round. Here, a little bit different. So I have Cortland Sutton in 3% of my drafts so far this year, which is about 3% more than last year. So let's move this down. Jameson, Juju Smith-Schuster off 104, 105. Swing this around. Okay. Gibson goes 107. We have a bunch of quarterbacks falling. When do we start seeing these QBs go? Who took Lamb? Very interested to see the Lamb team that decided to pass on Dak. Jimmy's passed on Dak Prescott in favor of Jameson Williams to pick 105. I wonder if he was trying to get greedy and have Dak Prescott fall to 112. I don't really understand the thought process there. I feel like Dak Prescott, ADP 96. If you get him at 105, stack him up with Lamb, probably makes a lot of sense. And now Daniel Jones off the board, 111. So if we're looking at quarterbacks that would be in play for us, Cousins doesn't make a lot of sense. Rodgers doesn't make a lot of sense. Geno doesn't make a lot of sense, even if we think one of these quarterbacks is a great value. Could go Cousins and look for Osborne later on if we really wanted, but I just feel like there are going to be better spots where we can take Cousins. Damian Harris goes 115. Based on the running backs that are available, probably was a good call for us to go through and take Zach Charbonnet. Geno goes, so we're going to take Lazard, right? Because if we're mapping this out, I think that we have a shot of getting Aaron Rodgers on the way back around. If you're looking at this, these teams, Josh Allen, now they take Cousins. Burrow, Storm would be the team that we would possibly have to worry about taking Rodgers. They do have Breece Hall if they wanted to go through and have that pairing for whatever reason. NRG, I don't see why they would take Rodgers. Of course, they could always just take him based off the value. I don't exactly know. But what we're looking at 117 in my mind, if we pass on Rodgers in favor of Allen Lazard, there's a very real shot that we are going to be able to get Rodgers on the way back around at 124, and vice versa. If we pass on Lazard for Aaron Rodgers, the possibility that Lazard makes it to us in 124 slim to none. Now, NRG goes through and takes Aaron Rodgers there. Okay. Brock says, if I have an account with Flock Fantasy, but I don't have a sub, can I get the shirt? No, you have to have if you are, okay, let me clarify with this real quick. Sorry. If you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com and you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, make sure you go fill out the Google form. If you do not hit either one of those things, you did not use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, or you are not a paid member of flockfantasy.com, do not fill out the Google form because it's going to be a pain in the butt, and I'm going to have to email you saying, hey, man, you're not X, Y, and Z. Do I have any mistake here? So, no, yeah, those are the two qualifications to get that shirt. And so Zay Jones would give us the triple stack. Don't really care about that too much. I'd rather take the value. Now, if Evan Ingram was not on our team and we only had Christian Kirk, maybe we'd go Zay Jones to get Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Trevor Lawrence. But when we already have Lawrence, Kirk, and Evan Ingram, at some point it's like, okay, how many spike weeks can we see from a single team in a single week, right? I think Khalil Herbert is a great value here. I've said this before, but did not expect to be able to get Khalil Herbert in this range when we were going into this offseason, because you know there are some people that are crazy in love with Khalil Herbert. I don't necessarily consider myself one of them, right? But, I mean, at the same time, I don't know. It's just such a good price point, right? He's going next to Sky Moore. Like, let me go ahead and let me pull this up. I have Khalil Herbert in 13% of drafts. Honestly, I figured I had him in a little bit more than that. So I have Khalil Herbert in a decent amount of spots. And Nathan says, how do I get your rankings after using code FLOCK? So Underdog will send you a link to your email for our 2023 rankings. So be on the lookout. If you signed up recently with promo code FLOCK to Underdog Fantasy, check your email. The email will come from Underdog, not from me. Talon says, if you use code FLOCK, do you get the shirt? Yes. If you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, and if you are a paid member to flockfantasy.com. So if y'all are unsure, let me go ahead and move this. Oops, sorry. I don't know why that got out of whack here, but flockfantasy.com is the website you should be on. So I'll leave that there. If I signed up for Underdog, no, only do I get the free merch? No. If you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com and you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, there, my friend. I hope that is very clear. I hope that is very clear. And in the Google form, it says that exact thing. Now, we have Carr, Goff off the board. This can be a team where we go through and take 3 tight ends if we really want. We will see. We'll see. Joey says, where can I find the Google thing for the shirt? It's going to be in the Discord under the announcements for flockfantasy.com, or also you can find it on the Flock Fantasy Twitter. Whatever is easiest for you, my friend. I would say definitely just make sure if you are not in the Discord and you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com, fix your life, my man. Go hop in the Discord. Okay. Now let's see what else we have. Romeo Dobbs off the board, 136. Komet, 137. Okay, we have some values making it to us. So when we go Chubb, Jacobs, Charbonnet, Khalil Herbert, we're probably only drafting 5 RBs here. Schultz goes 138. I would have really liked to have Schultz. I would have felt comfortable only drafting 2 tight ends if we got Dalton Schultz. She Rice off the board, 139. Nico Collins goes. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We will get Roshan. So hopefully we'll get just every single touch out of the Chicago Bears backfield. Hopefully Deontay Foreman does not make some noise this year for this team in particular. And we are most likely done drafting running back. If all of a sudden we have some phenomenal running back making it to us at value, we'll go ahead and we'll pull the trigger. But we're most likely not taking another running back in this draft. Dustin says, thanks for the free $10. Flock is the man. Okay, yeah. Thank you, my man. And let me clarify with this as well. If you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com and on Underdog Fantasy, go to your account page on flockfantasy.com, put in your Underdog username on your account page, and it will add a free $10 into your Underdog account. You don't have to do anything. If you're a paid member of flockfantasy.com right now, go to your account page. It'll say Underdog username, put it in, hit enter, go to your Underdog app, look at your transactions, and you'll see $10 added in there, my man. But thank you. Thank you. John says, when do the Flock booty shorts drop? Hopefully soon, my friend. Hopefully soon. I've been looking for something new that we need to be modeling. Now, Kyler goes, Dolchich was going to be a player we were looking at. He would have correlated with Jerry Jeudy nicely, and I generally really like the value of him in this range, but sadly, we are not going to get him, so we will possibly have to... Y'all are making this draft way too hard for us. This draft has just been brutal. Flocking up, my dude, goes Jalen Warren. Great value with Warren. In my mind, probably better than anybody else on the board, but we couldn't have taken him anyway. Okay. Think, Mason. Think. What the hell are we doing? Irv Smith Jr. is the same as the tight ends later on for me. Doesn't really make any sense to take Jordan Love. I guess we'll go Hyatt. I don't like Hyatt. I haven't drafted Hyatt pretty much at all. Oh my gosh, I do not like this, ladies and gentlemen. It's a weird draft. So if you're looking at this, running back, we have Chubb, Jacobs, Zach Charbonnet, Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson. Wide receiver, we have Kupp, Jeudy, Kirk, Treylon Burks, Allen Lazard, Jalen Hyatt. Quarterback, we have Lawrence. We have him double stacked with Ingram and Christian Kirk. Now, to be honest with you, if we're going to go through and recap this draft and try to figure out where we went wrong to not like this team and possibly try to be better in the next one, I stand by our Kupp call. I'm taking Kupp over CMC every single draft on Underdog this year. With Chubb, honestly, I do not think this is where it went wrong. Like I told you, I don't have a lot of experience drafting Chubb late round 2 and another running back early round 3, but this will be what I'm doing from now on, like we talked about in the video earlier this morning, and I stand by this. I think it was the right call here. We have Judy Christian Kirk, wide receiver at the 4-5 turn. I honestly stand by this as well. I stand by the Lawrence pick. If I'm going through and mapping this out, maybe what we could have done instead, and this is me just trying to find a different answer. I think in reality, what ended up happening is we were just in a brutal draft room with all of y'all. But if I could nitpick something and say, this is what we should have improved upon, this is what we should have possibly done instead, is pass on Roschon there at pick 141 and reach on Greg Dulcich, paying attention to the fact that NRG has Russ and Sutton. If we would have added Greg at that point, I would have felt comfortable only drafting 2 tight ends. And on top of that, we would have had a running back that we'd have felt comfortable with making it back around to us at 148. So if I was going to go through and say that we made a mistake and try to fix something in the next one, I think honestly it would be the Roschon Johnson selection at pick 141. I think that would probably be the worst pick. Okay, now KJ Osborne goes off 259. Let's swing this around. And especially if Tyler Algier makes it back to us, we made a horrendous decision. If Algier makes it back, we can safely say that our Roschon Johnson pick was just straight up garbage. Van Jefferson goes. Okay, if we're looking at the teams after us and what they could possibly do, Storm only has 3 running backs with Hall, Akers, Elijah Mitchell. So I assume we're going to get a couple of running back picks there. NRG has Pollard, Henry, Kamara. So maybe we get 1 to 2 running backs selected with that pick. Quarterback, Rodgers. NRG has Higbee. You could possibly see him go with the 3 QB. There's Rodgers and Russ. Storm is Burrow, Kyler. I doubt Storm would go with another quarterback. Flocking up, my dude has Allen Cousins. Definitely not going with another QB. MVS off. We're not going to risk it. We're just going to go ahead. We will take Matthew Stafford to pair up with Cooper Kupp. When we take Lawrence and Stafford here, I don't know the right call on if we should be only drafting 2 quarterbacks or if we should possibly be drafting 3. Couple running backs going great for us. I mean, running back value is pretty damn strong, but still. Pickett goes 169. Okay, so NRG most likely would have taken another quarterback. He most likely would have taken Matthew Stafford from us if we did not take him. So I feel comfortable with that call. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to grab Wan'Dale. Y'all have seen me draft Wan'Dale Robinson over and over and over again. I want to get as much 15th round Wan'Dale Robinson as I possibly can. I think Wan'Dale is one of the most appealing draft picks that we have here. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's take him. But my girlfriend is blowing up my phone. I told her that this draft would be done at 7:30. And we are 30 minutes past then. So I am probably going to have to cut this here, ladies and gentlemen. Really did not expect to get in 3 drafts today. But nonetheless, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And as always, I will be live tomorrow. We'll be streaming these drafts every single day. So if you want to get in our draft tomorrow, the next day, the day after that, the day after that one, or maybe even the day after that one, you can go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FLOCK. They'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. Get a free trial to flockfantasy.com. Most importantly, have some fun getting these drafts with us. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate y'all. Really hope you have a great day and really hope that we get to see you in the live stream tomorrow.